Good evening, Chicago. This is Jerry Vasilatos for Chicago Corner, broadcasting to you from the near north side of Chicago, right at the end of the city's boundaries near Evanston. I'd like to join you all. I'd like to thank you all for joining me tonight, this evening, as we go into our Tuesday night live stream, where I'm hosting by myself, and you, the viewer, will be my co-host participating in our live chat. So I want to give a heads up as the show begins. I had some problems with my camera light. I hope it doesn't give out. That's why we started a few minutes late. It's a Bluetooth connection, and it wasn't starting. I had to keep restarting the light. I hope that we don't have any signal issues throughout the show, but in case the light conks out, that's what's going on there. So I hope you're all having a good week so far. After the Thanksgiving weekend, we had a great get together with Arturo Medina, who's in the live chat there. Hello, Art. We all got together for our Friendsgiving celebration after our regular Thanksgiving celebration with our families, and that was a lot of fun. Hello, all you cat lovers from Ramona. I don't know where Oreo is. Hopefully he'll come out and join us. He's hiding right now. Usually he's like right front and center as we start the broadcast. And Miguel H., thank you for joining us. Yes, the overnight winter parking ban is in effect. It appears my signal did my camera freeze? Okay, looks like I'm all right for now. I'm going to very quickly, I can't even do that because my keyboard's down. Oh, there we go. I'm going to see if I need to close anything that might be competing with the buffering for the video here, so we shouldn't have any more frozen camera issues. So yeah, Miguel, that's our first story of the night. So why don't we get right into it? It's the most wonderful time of the year, as the winter overnight parking ban is now going to be in effect tomorrow morning. I'm going to add this to our stream. Please keep in mind, everybody, if you park on the streets, you do not want a ticket. You do not want to get towed. So I'm leading the show with this story because I think it's really, really important before we get into our regular stories. Chicago's overnight winter parking ban is back Wednesday. Make sure you don't get towed. By the way, I also want to put up our lovely Chicago Corner backdrop there, which was missing a moment ago. So here's the story, everybody. So make sure that you prepare for this. Last year, 232 cars were towed during the first night of the ban, despite no snowfall. So they can't wait to get out there and tow your cars to generate that revenue, even though there's no snowfall. That's what our city's all about, revenue generation. And the winter weather just gives them another excuse to pick your pockets, even when there isn't any snow. The practice angers residents, but the city says it's meant to prevent a traffic standstill when it snows. Like we don't have traffic standstills anyway all over the city when it doesn't snow, or when they decide construction can take several years instead of a few months. Hey, on that note, kind of unrelated, but kind of related, I think that it's now taken them longer to construct the Jane Byrne interchange downtown than World War II took. So keep that in mind. All right, back to our story. This comes to us from Amy Kin at Block Club Chicago. Drivers in the city should double check before parking their cars in the street starting early Wednesday morning. That's when Chicago's overnight winter parking ban will go into effect. The ban prohibits parking along 107 miles of major roads throughout the city and is enforced from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m., regardless of whether it has snowed or not, from December 1st through April 1st, according to the city's Department of Streets and Sanitation. I don't know if there are any aldermen out there that might want to propose legislation that the parking ban only goes into effect when there is no snow on the ground, but I know that that would diminish the revenue that they're able to collect from December 1st through April 1st. Signs indicating the ban are permanently posted along affected streets. The city has also posted flyers on cars parked on the streets as an additional reminder of the ban, according to a department news release. Drivers who violate the ban will be towed and face a minimum $150 towing fee, and that's what it's really all about. A $60 ticket and a vehicle storage fee of $25 each day, according to the department. Towed vehicles will be taken to Pound 2 at 10,301 South Dottie Avenue in Pullman. You're going to have to go all the way to the south side to Pullman or #6 at 701 North Sacramento Boulevard in Humboldt Park. And let me bring up that map for you. Anyone who finds their car towed can locate it by calling 311 or using the city's database of towed vehicles, as the map shows. And actually, it's a pretty long map there. Let's scroll down. The overnight parking ban is just one of the many protocols in place to keep the city safe during the winter every year, Department of Streets and Sanitation Commissioner Cole Stollard said in a statement, keeping the city safe, right? The practice, however, has been criticized as a city cash grab, especially when no snow is in the forecast. Last year, 232 cars were towed during the first night of the ban, despite no snowfall. I'm telling you, they're going to have all the tow trucks out tonight at the ready. Yesterday, being still November, I didn't think about the fact that at midnight it would actually be December 1st. So they towed my car, one resident said last year, while paying to get her car from the city auto pound at 701 North Sacramento Boulevard. The whole ordeal set her back more than $200. It's predatory. It's totally predatory, she said. There goes a week's groceries, that's for sure. The city has defended the practice, of course, saying it prevents a buildup of snow and ice next to parked cars along major roadways, according to a news release. There's also a second snow-related parking ban that affects another 500 miles of main streets when there are at least 2 inches of snow on the street, regardless of the time of day or date. If violated, cars can be towed and ticketed. Hey, while I'm sharing and relating the story, please share your snow parking horror stories in the live chat. Hopefully you don't have any, but I'll be happy to share them and talk about them. Both the overnight and snow-related parking bans were implemented on designated high-traffic streets to prevent what happened in 1967 and 1979, when major snowstorms caused Chicago traffic to come to a standstill, according to the department. Visit chicagoshovels.org for more information and to view the city's snowplows in real time. Let's check out chicagoshovels.org. I guess that's the update site as to when they get their tow trucks out. Oh, how convenient. They've got the plow tracker, the winter apps, and most importantly, was my car towed or relocated? Can't find your car? This site will help if it's been towed or relocated by the city. Shall we watch their video? Let's take a quick look at what this is and see if it's worth paying attention to.
We all know how important it is as Chicagoans to prepare for winter, and that's why Mayor Emanuel launched ChicagoShovels.org, one place online where you can get all your city-related snow resources and also help bring Chicagoans together this winter. So there's 4 main components of ChicagoShovels.org. The first is the plow tracker, where you can see in real time the location of every plow in the city of Chicago via GPS.
You can follow snow plows in real time as they're on their routes, and you're able to track those plows as they're clearing their route. So you'll have some idea of how soon it's going to get to you.
Or how long it's going to take.
Looking out your window and seeing if the plows have come by. Now you can also go to the plow tracker and see the location of every plow in the city and where it's going. The second piece is Adopt a Sidewalk, where residents can claim a section of sidewalk in front of their house and connect with their neighbors to help keep those sidewalks clean.
It's really critical that both residents and business.
I love Gene's idea. Chicago should create neighborhood watches just to prevent towing. Help your neighbors. Yeah, maybe like door to door. I don't know, flyers. I guess they just assume everybody has got an internet connection, especially in neighborhoods where they probably can't even afford internet to catch the news or have cable. But the city is definitely set to make money tonight.
Businesses are cognizant of keeping their sidewalks clear. It really is an issue for people with mobility disabilities, for those
That's
that
true.
use wheelchairs, may have other mobility devices, or difficulty walking.
Adopt a Sidewalk is another tool that business owners, property owners, and neighbors can claim a sidewalk in front of their.
Okay, so I'm gonna opine here. This is actually good advice here, and anybody who anybody who's got a residence and a shovel or a snowblower should be out there clearing snow on the sidewalks. Most importantly, I've got a snowblower. I usually go one house to my north, and if no one else has got a snowblower, 5 buildings to my south to the alley so that pedestrians can get through the neighborhood. Because if you've got a snowblower, do a little bit extra. It's not that hard, and it's good exercise for you. So let's continue to help your neighbors.
Market when it's cleared and help come together as a community.
Smart Chicago Collaborative is going to host the website, so we have it on a server that is outside the city infrastructure and allows these developers and new people who feel like they want to get involved in it and make improvements to the software and new features, allows them to commit code directly to the server, and we can have it immediately improved.
It's a great comment here from E. Heller. Plow Tracker is fun to watch because you can see them bypass all the side streets and alleys that they won't plow. I remember several years ago when no one had their side streets plowed. You know who did have his side streets plowed? Alderman Burke. That was a big news story. Apparently, those are the neighborhoods that come first.
The software.
Then we've got a winter apps gallery, and these are applications that are built by Chicago's bustling developer community that use city data to create useful.
I remember that story, Art.
Through the winter. And the last
here's the important stuff.
SnowCorp, where people can volunteer to help out neighbors who are elderly or have disabilities and might need a little help this winter getting sidewalks cleared in front of their house.
This program offers a really critical service to our residents who may have difficulty shoveling and have mobility disabilities. And it's very critical in terms of increasing their access to their communities.
Help your neighbor. Help each other. Rather than taking out a small portion of your street and creating some dibs, we'd rather see the entire block working together to clear that street.
Yep.
Coming together in the winter,
especially if you've got a
something
snowblower.
Already do, helping neighbors do sidewalks and dig out our cars. And ChicagoShovels.org is really a place where we can empower people to really come together and provide even more resources.
All right, so enough of that. I've done my civic duty for the evening. Overnight snow ban starts tomorrow. So please, as I like to say at the end of the show, but I'll say it now, be vigilant.
Hey, Jerry.
Oh,
Jerry,
geez.
I also have a public service announcement. Is that if you know there are people coming to plow your street, you got to get those dibs chairs out of your parking space and move your cars. In Chicago, some of you don't know, people like to reserve the parking spots they dug out on the side streets that didn't get plowed with furniture and chairs, sometimes a nice dining room set, occasionally previously used Christmas trees.
My favorite are the nativity scenes when they put baby Jesus in the street to protect a parking spot.
Yes, because who in their right mind would move a nativity scene just to take a parking spot? We are not monsters.
Okay, so Art has a very, very good point in the live chat for anyone who's unemployed but in good shape. This is a chance to start a side hustle business and shovel snow in parking spots for people not prepared to shovel, especially our senior citizens who can't get out there. And again, if you've got a snowblower, do more than your own front sidewalk. As far as dibs goes, Pegleg, I also think dibs is bullshit. That whole
it is, but at the same time, you don't know. See, I had conversations with some of the other ghosts around here, and they have mixed feelings about dibs as well. Sometimes Gene thinks I'm responsible for the big Chicago fire, and I should not be trusted. But the truth is, you don't know who dug out that spot for who. What if some guy dug that spot out for his poor grandma so she could get her car in and out of that spot, and he puts that little chair there? Well, grandma can lift the little tiny chair to move that into her car so she can get back and forth to the grocery store. But, she's getting up there in age, and she can't dig out those spots like she used to. She used to dig out like half the neighborhood spots when she was younger.
First of all, no grandmother should be driving through a snowstorm to get to the grocery store.
Well,
okay?
We're talking about the one from Pasadena. She got to drive.
Okay, but most two flats and most residences throughout our residential neighborhoods, Pegleg, we all have garages. I think most. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again with the. Am I buffering again? Am I still there?
No, you're still here, Jerry.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just on my end. It looked like my screen froze. Okay, so what I was saying, going off on my dibs rant, I've got a garage. People in the neighborhood have got garages. And if you're going to dig out a parking spot for an extra car and you leave, that's a public space. It's a public street. you got some exercise, you dug out the space for yourself. If everybody else is doing what the hell they're supposed to do, they're digging out all the spots on the street. Everybody should dig out the side, the front of their spots to park. And because if everybody did it, then no one would be fighting for a parking spot in the snow. Or in
Jerry's
a
actually correct here.
I'm absolutely
right.
correct.
It does take a village or a city, get your neighbors all together, and it won't take too long for all of you to grab a shovel and dig out your side.
A snowblower. Everybody's got a snowblower now. Mostly everybody's got a snowblower. And as I said, I mean, I've got one. I do more of my sidewalk. I try to go to the alley. I know that other people in the neighborhood, they'll plow more than their front. You're right, Peg. Like, it takes a city or a village or whatever it takes. In this case, it takes a city. And all this bullshit about, I'm going to dig out my parking spot in front while I have a garage in back because maybe grandma's going to use it, even though I should be going to the store. Or I should be driving grandma to the store so she doesn't trip on the sidewalk getting to her vehicle that she shouldn't be driving on slippery streets and break her hip. Do I need to go any further?
You don't, but you should realize not everybody in the city with a car has a garage to put it in.
Okay,
a lot of people parking on streets these days. Sometimes that's all they have access to, and so I mean, that's why I always take it with a grain of salt. I'm like, some guy put a chair down. I ain't messing with his chair. I don't want him to break my ghost car's window. And I think you can break a ghost car window. Don't ask me how.
I think dibs is the perfect time of year for people to add to their living rooms, add to their interior home decor, because there's a lot of stuff on the streets that, or their patio. Add extra chairs for your patio if those are out on the street too.
We got another side hustle idea from Arturo here. He says, create a dibs centerpiece. Make some kind of obscure art like a beat up chair and rent it out as a dib that can be admired and serves a purpose, which is art.
It's a good idea.
Art is wonderful. Speaking of wonderful art, dibs, and side hustles.
Yes.
Flavor improving mugs. The mugs that improve flavor are now available at the merch shop near you, and I think today is the last day you can save a little scratch on that with the code Cyber5, which I think they came out on Cyber Monday or something, but they're running it through Tuesday just because they're weird. So Cyber5, CYBER 5.
How are the sales going, Pegleg? I hope they're going well.
We have nearly existent sales, Jerry. They are just on the verge of existence in our sales.
As our fundraiser for the night ministry. You know, it's Giving Tuesday, everybody. And
that's true. It is.
I see I'm frozen. Maybe you guys can still. There we go.
Oh,
okay. Maybe you can hear me while I'm frozen. Yeah, it's Giving Tuesday, everybody. I was going to talk about that later in the show. I mean, hey, you can give to Chicago Corner and receive a great mug or other merch to help us with our $49 a month streaming costs that we pay for, to bring you all this fine entertainment. Or you can go to our links down in the description box where we are trying to raise money for the night ministry's efforts throughout the year, or you can just donate directly to the night ministry. You can either donate at the Chicago Corner 99 Perspectives link and get a free movie for donating to the night ministry, because all the proceeds will go there. Actually, let me bring this up while I'm talking about it, because I want to share that particular screen. You there, Pegleg? So look, nobody's visited yet. Isn't that great? Anyway, here's the link through page that you'll visit when if you go here and click here, you go through, you donate, you get a movie, all the proceeds will go to the night ministry. Again, as I mentioned below in the, oh, I'm sorry, I lost Pegleg. Here you are, Pegleg. In the description box, you can also donate directly to the night ministry, as well as any local food depositories, Toys for Tots, and also if you are having trouble this holiday season, there's a link there so that you can receive some aid. So being that it's Giving Tuesday, I really hope that, as difficult as it is for people, if you've got a few bucks to toss to help somebody else, that's what we're trying to do here at Chicago Corner, guide people towards helping each other, sharing news, trying to find the inspirational stories where there are people out there helping each other. And you can get involved also with any of the links down in our show description box to help out any of those charities and get something back if you so desire. I'm sending out free movies to people that donate through my charitable link. So
Oh, I'm looking at the chat to see who else is talking in here. We got Gene who wants a snowblower, but they don't sell them there. Hopefully Santa or Krampus or whoever will bring you something this year. Maybe it will blow the snow.
You can only hope.
We got Trish who says they never learned how to drive.
I'm going to jump into our next story because obviously dibs and overnight snow bans are a uniquely Chicago type of story. But we've got another Chicago story I want to share here. Pegleg, you want to stick around for this one?
I'd be happy to stick around unless I get yanked out into the ether again. Sometimes that just happens.
Okay. So we're following up on a story. We reported on this last week regarding the ward remap and the fact that citizens had actually put a remap together to make the wards more equitable for all neighborhoods in the city. Our alderman ignored that. Now, this comes from Block Club Chicago, Justin Lawrence. With no deal, ward remap meeting is canceled one day before crucial deadline as Lightfoot heads to D.C. If city council does not vote by Wednesday, it will set off a race to shore up enough political support for a map and avoid a referendum next year. The committee charged with creating Chicago's political boundaries for the next decade hastily canceled a Tuesday afternoon meeting one day ahead of an important deadline to redraw the city's ward map. Now, it's interesting because they wouldn't have to scramble and cancel things hastily if they'd pay attention to the proposal that came from the citizens that was proposed last week that they're ignoring. But
listen to the people. Are you mad, sir?
The City Council Rules Committee was set to unveil a 50-ward map crafted behind closed doors, but the meeting was canceled less than 20 minutes before it was supposed to start. Chicago, city that works or city of jerks? You be the judge. The proposal, the details of which remain a mystery to the public, does not have a critical 41-vote supermajority. According to those close to the process, if a new map is not approved by the end of Wednesday with 41 backers, that opens the door for any 10 alder people. And that'll be basically the villain block of city council, though we've got more than 10 villains in city council, but any 10 alder people to submit their own version that would square off against the city council backed map in a June referendum. Can you imagine Patrick Daley Thompson or Jim Gardner or who's the other guy who spent all the money and time renaming Lakeshore Drive? It remains unlikely the matter would go to Chicago voters. After Wednesday, alder people would have until 40 days before the June midterm election to shore up 41 votes for a map which would cancel the referendum. A city council meeting is scheduled for 1 p.m. Wednesday, but it is unclear if it will move forward. As the backroom negotiations, not public, in city council on the floor, backroom negotiations on the new ward map continue, Mayor Lori Lightfoot has left town for Washington, D.C. to advocate for more resources to support Chicago's infrastructure and to combat COVID-19, her press office announced Tuesday just before the meeting was canceled, of which I'm going to report on in another story as it relates to Chicago public schools. If there is a meeting without Lightfoot present, the president pro tempore, Alderman Brendan Riley of the 42nd, said he would preside. The way things have been going, it's possible tomorrow's meeting could be canceled.
So Lightfoot doesn't actually have to be there for them to have a meeting?
Guess not.
That actually could work out in our favor if we get enough pressure on these council people.
Well, I don't know how it's going to work out if they're going to craft their own map while ignoring the one that would actually be more equitable to all the neighborhoods that was put together by the residents who proposed it to them and they just ignored it.
Well, like I said, Jerry, it takes a village mob with a bunch of torches and pitchforks. Oh, wait, did I leave off that back part earlier?
You forgot the guillotines.
Yeah, we aren't that far in yet, Jerry. I think the torches and the pitchforks will suffice for now.
Yet. The way things have been going, it's possible tomorrow's meeting could get canceled, but we'll see, Riley said. It's a very fluid situation, so may not know until much later tonight. Alderman Brian Hopkins of the second said the map is 95% done, and city council leaders are exploring the possibility of directly introducing the map into the city council Wednesday. Now, keep in mind, Peg, the map that they want to propose is not the one that residents across the city agree with.
It's also not the one with the chocolate milk land that I wanted to propose either, but nobody will take my calls about that.
I can't imagine why. That would bypass the committee hearing altogether and deny the public a chance to review it ahead of the vote, which would violate the Open Meetings Act. Hopkins said, even if it's not technically a violation, get that picture up, of the rules, that would certainly be a violation of the spirit of the rule, and it's bad practice if we do that. Okay. Lightfoot's been hands-off with the city's remapping process, but entered negotiations over the weekend, hoping to hammer out a deal between the city's Black and Latino caucuses and the Rules Committee. The Sun-Times reported Tuesday Lightfoot sent alderpeople scrambling to tweak the map proposal after she threatened to veto any map that protected the incumbency of her political nemesis, indicted Alderman Ed Burke. Any comments from Art about that, Alderman Burke? The Rules Committee hired attorney Michael Casper, the longtime attorney of former House Speaker Mike Madigan, to help craft the new ward map. In addition to protecting Burke by keeping his Southwest Side ward from moving into Little Village, the draft map would also help longtime Madigan ally Alderman Marty Quinn by moving Midway Airport into his ward, according to the Sun-Times. The villainy is just, it's like the supervillain team-up in City Council. The map was heavily influenced by the Black Caucus, who did not release their own proposal. They instead have worked through the Rules Committee process to carve out space for 17 majority Black wards, one fewer than the current 18, despite a decline in Chicago's Black population since 2010. We're coming to the end, everybody. I just want to be thorough. The Latino Caucus released its own proposal in October, creating 15 majority wards, up from 13, to account for population growth among Latinx Chicagoans. Their proposal would reduce the number of majority Black wards to 16. During a contentious hearing on Monday, members of the Latino caucus said they were left out of negotiations with the Rules Committee to craft a compromise. Alderman Michelle Harris of the 8th, who chairs the Rules Committee, shot back that the Latino caucus chose to run a separate map process by releasing their own proposal, and that by the time they entered the map room to craft a deal, many of the new boundaries had already been set. After Monday's hearing, 14 alderpeople signed a letter in support of the Latino caucus proposal, saying it is apparent that there is not a will to have true negotiations and serious compromise. There's our city. There's our wards. Another map. A referendum remains a real possibility. Sponsors of the Chicago Coalition map continue to encourage this. Now, this is the citizens group. Sponsors of the Chicago Coalition map continue to encourage the city council to pass a legally defensible map. A map that disenfranchises minorities will require a referendum and will invite litigation that could cost taxpayers millions, they said. If a map is passed without 41 votes, Alderman Gilbert Villegas of the 36th, who chairs the Latino caucus, didn't rule out supporting an alternative map to put up a referendum, but told Block Club he hoped Lightfoot would veto the map. That would put City Council back at square one if 34 alderpeople don't override the veto. Goes on and on and on, but you all get the picture what's going on here. And Pegleg, thanks for sharing stuff from the live chat here. Arturo says, I wonder how council people would like it. They needed to resolve city issues not in City Hall, but in a high school auditorium surrounded by students and parents staring them down to solve issues. Well, you know, Art, that the public is invited to participate in City Council when Lightfoot allows them to or doesn't shut off their microphones. I've seen that in a couple of the public City Council meetings that we've covered this past year. You've got a lot of angry people going there, and the mayor and the older people just don't want to hear it. Lastly, this proves that some city politicians like to drag their feet when the opportunity to resolve issues is brought to the forefront. Of course. Of course. Any other thoughts you have, Pegleg?
I just think that it would be helpful if we invited all these council people to a high school auditorium for, I don't know, free ice cream or something that would make them come out and say, oh, I would like to do this for a wonderful opportunity to let the community know that I care. And then we ambush them with all these questions about the city ward map and relief for people and helping out the homeless and doing things to help the community and making sure that people's sidewalks get shoveled and can fill in any time, Jerry, and all these other things that council people should be getting on top of for helping
Absolutely.
the city and their constituents. I like the word constituents because I never say it right the same twice the same way.
Speaking of funding that's not going where it's supposed to be going, I want to share. I talked on my last show that I know someone who works in CPS colleges who told me that the mandate to any teachers that are requesting aid for their students is always how it's going to make Lightfoot look. So we just heard that Lightfoot, although many people might identify her as COVID. Lightfoot's running off to Washington to seek more COVID-19 relief funds to cover expenses here in the city. This is from...
So she can give them to the police department? I don't understand.
Right? I think I misplaced my glasses. I lost my shoes and glasses.
She just thought that she would go, well, okay, we'll just go and ask for more money then. And so we'll just give it all to the police department the first time.
Well, I'm going to share this video that came from a CPS gathering, I think it was about a week ago. And I'm going to go, let's see if I can go full screen on this. Here we go. Because teachers got together and decided to share with the public in their presentation all these COVID funds that are supposed to be, that the mayor's picking up and, directing, saying that she's going to direct to the right needy areas of the city. Let's just hear what they had to say. It's the lady after this.
Certified teacher. I've been with CPS since 1998. The last 7 years I've been here at Fraser International Magnet School. I stay in this profession because I love and care deeply about my students. Our students and their families rely on our school community to help them succeed academically, and even more after the trials of the pandemic, to support and nurture them through what we have been enormously trying times. Resource issues are not new at our school, but the pandemic has intensified every inequity in our students already confronted. And they need the stability of knowing that if they give their trust to an adult in our school community, we'll be there for them for the long haul. Instead, the turnover and short staffing in our school means that a student may start the school year with a trusted educator and finish the year with a substitute teacher.
I'm going to jump ahead here. I thought I'd had a cue to the gentleman that spoke after her, but this is the gentleman who makes a lot of the really salient points related to what I just set up.
Jesse Sharkey, president of Chicago Teachers Union. Thank you.
Jesse Sharkey, the president of Chicago Teachers Union.
And her appointed school board. The mayor of the city of Chicago and her appointed school board told the public that $500 million of additional resources were going into our schools over 2 years to help meet the needs of COVID. To allow our schools to be adequately staffed, to allow our schools to be safe, and to give our people the social and emotional supports that we need to continue doing this difficult but crucial work during a pandemic. Today, we're here to tell you that those $500 million of promised supports are not showing up in schools like Fraser. They're not here. And I can prove they're not here because we do not have the ability to give students their IEP minutes, their individual education, special education minutes, which they're legally required to receive. We do not have the ability to provide substitute coverage and have a librarian at the same time. The librarian at this school is providing substitute coverage instead of working as a librarian. We do not have an algebra teacher. The algebra teacher is actually the principal. The principal is also the case manager here. If there is $500 million of promised supports, we're going to tell you they're not showing up in North Lawndale. They're not showing up in public schools like Fraser International Baccalaureate School. And they need to be. That's the promise. That's what we've been told. Otherwise, we're forced to ask, of the $2 billion of support which the federal government gave to Chicago public schools and the city of Chicago, and the $500 million that they promised in the schools, where's it going? If it's
70% went to police overtime last year.
not showing up in our schools. How come it's not showing up? It needs to. That's the simple truth of the matter in this case. Thank you.
All right, so that's the video that kind of follows up on the money that Lightfoot is going back to Washington to go get more. The first batch never went where it's supposed to go. I wonder if the new batch is going to go where it's supposed to go while she's not present for the meetings related to the ward remap. But now another important thing I wanted to share. Let's see here, I've got to close this window. In regards to the Chicago Teachers Union. Now, we reported last week on the story that came out of the Marines Leadership Academy and the CPS staff members who were grooming and sexually abusing students there. I made a mistake. I misidentified when I said I wonder what the CPS union has to say about this stuff. Well, yeah, CPS is separate from CTU, the Chicago Teachers Union. It was the Chicago Teachers Union. I made a mistake mixing the two up when I was talking about how did those teachers at that Marine Leadership Academy get away with staying on staff for 2 years during the investigation. Why weren't they suspended? So the Chicago Teachers Union has come out with a statement. As I said in my last show, I was curious to see what the Teachers Union had to say about this, although we do have to clarify. CPS is separate from CTU. There's the Chicago Teachers Union and there's Chicago Public Schools. The Teachers Union has nothing to do with these decisions that were made by CPS to let those CPS employees stay, I guess, in their jobs while they were investigating them. So this comes to us from the Chicago's Teachers Union, and this was issued November 19th. The Chicago Teachers Union issued the following statement today following reports of sexual abuse and misconduct at Marine Leadership Academy. Our union has zero tolerance for sexual misconduct. Nothing is more important than the trust of our children, and nothing is more reprehensible than the violation of that trust. Students deserve safety above all else. As educators, our first responsibility to students is to protect them from harm. We condemn any behavior that in any way leads to harm or trauma of a child. The lack of action at Marine Leadership Academy following a 2018 Chicago Tribune investigation into sexual abuse in our schools is concerning. Issues at Marine surfaced when school community members brought concerns about a toxic school culture to school administration, yet instead of taking action, the now removed principal was promoted. 3 years ago, educators, families, and school communities were promised something that was not delivered, and this is the result. Mayor Lightfoot must protect our children and shield them from harm. The mayor must also make her district responsible for all facets of student safety. We cannot continue to have such an alarming lack of attention and lack of action in protecting children. We must also continue to push back against cultures of fear and intimidation from administrators in our schools. House Bill 1975, which our union supported and is now law, strengthens school oversight and student protection in cases of sexual abuse. Every employee of every school district must follow this law. We also urge the mayor and CPS to embark on a spirit of regular and ongoing cooperation and collaboration with our union and rank and file members in our schools that centers student safety and well-being. Our children must be protected at all costs. So that's the statement from the Chicago Teachers Union regarding the CPS scandal. Now, I'm starting to wonder if this Marine Leadership Academy, apparently the people who at Marine Leadership Academy feel like this is their own little island where they can do whatever the fuck they want, because this story just came to my attention today. Another CPS staffer at Marine Leadership Academy was removed after sending anti-vaccine email to parents at embattled Marine Leadership Academy. Now, I don't care what you think about the vaccine mandates. I don't care what you think about vaccinations. If you're pro-vax, anti-vax, that's not what's at issue in this article. This guy had absolutely no right in his position as a high-ranking staffer at a Marine Leadership Academy to stoke the flames. He's not a medical professional. To send out this email to create problems at the academy as if it doesn't already have enough. In the email, high-ranking staffer Colonel Lawrence Kaifish cited an anti-vaccination campaign out of California created and supported by a group of globally esteemed experts in healthcare and science, highlighting the dangers of vaccinating children. A staffer at the embattled Marine Leadership Academy has been removed after encouraging parents not to vaccinate their children. We just shared what he sent out through email. I was surprised with the test results as I have no major. So Colonel Lawrence Kaifish, a high-ranking school official, sent an email to parents and students Monday with the subject line, important updates, saying he isn't at school because he recently tested positive for COVID-19. I was surprised with the test results as I have no major symptoms minus some sinus congestion, Kaifish wrote. Well, good for you Good for you that you don't have some autoimmune deficiency illness, or you're at high risk like most other seniors that chose to get vaccinated to try to protect themselves. Just because you only had congestion means everybody must just have congestion. Tell that to the families of the thousands of people nationwide who've lost their loved ones. The arrogance, Pegleg. Kiefer said he chose not to get vaccinated because of statistics he found at openvaers.com, a so-called government website that tracks rare reactions to vaccines through the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. But the website is not a government website, as Kiefer claimed. The government's VAERS database can be viewed here. Look, if this guy didn't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. The fact that he decided to pass this information that he had no right to pass along through an email, as a staffer of the school, is what's most.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the point is not so much about your position on the COVID or the vaccine. It's about using your position of power in order to serve your own agenda that you were not hired to do.
Exactly.
I mean, you're going through channels that you weren't authorized to use that way. It's an entirely different thing if you're doing this on your personal Twitter than if you're sending out an email to all parents through a school email system. That's night and day in the differences in which you're communicating with people, and and I think that's about where we should probably leave this story, because if we go any more into detail on this, we're probably going to get kicked off of YouTube.
I don't know, Pegleg. Personally, this guy is a colonel. He's a colonel. And yeah, I agree with you absolutely. This is why I decided to share this story. This has nothing to do. I've given up arguing with people about whether or not, my own personal feelings about whether or not you make a choice to take the vaccine or not. That's your choice. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. Other people do want to do it. But yeah, this guy completely abused his power, sending out this email and alarming everybody in the school system. And I do want to finish, though. I think it's important to cite some other details in this news article, YouTube. This is from an accredited news source, Block Club Chicago.
We are also an authoritative source on chocolate cows, but not much else.
Speaking to reporters Tuesday alongside Dr. Alison Arwady, the commissioner of the Chicago Department of Public Health, CPS CEO Pedro Martinez, said Kiefer has been removed from the school for spreading false information about vaccines, which is contrary to everything Dr. Arwady and I have been preaching and speaking about. Arwady and Martinez were talking about the city's approach to tracking and minimizing spread of the new Omicron variant. Am I pronouncing that right? I heard that there's some speculation on how to pronounce that.
Oh, it's Omicron. It's an anagram of moronic. I don't know why. No, really.
I didn't know that. Is it?
Yes.
No, it's a letter of the Greek alphabet.
Well, yes, it is that also, but it is also an anagram for the word moronic.
You're right, it is, as I'm looking at it. You know who used to use anagrams back in the 1970s? The Zodiac Killer.
Also Taco Cat.
All right. Well, I was starting to get concerned since you seem to know a lot about anagrams, but
no, I just know about Taco Cat.
You've been around for a long time. First the Chicago fire, then the Zodiac killings. All right. The email comes as the Logan Square School grapples with a wide-ranging sexual abuse scandal that has led to the firing of at least 10 school employees. So it seems like this military academy is like the freaking wild, wild west over there with what they decide they can do grooming students, because it's not technically against the law yet because of loopholes, and then deciding to use their positions to send out emails to people to spread their own agenda.
Yes, but getting back to the more important part of the story about the Omicron is that I think that some politician, maybe President What's-His-Face, might have said Omicron, which, if I remember correctly, was one of the Generation 1 Transformers from the cartoon series. And then there is Omicron Persei 8, which is from Futurama, which is the home planet of Lur, who spells his name with, I think it's 3 R's. Is it? Yes, I think it's 3 R's.
I'm going to get back to the facts in the article about this colonel. All right.
If you must.
I must to wrap this story up. The email that he sent out goes against what the CDC and federal and local public health officials have been saying, that the vaccine is safe and effective for kids 5 and older. Again, I'm not arguing one way or the other on that. It's about what this guy did. Mayor Lori Lightfoot Martinez and Arwady, that's going to be a whole other tangent on how her name is pronounced, are urging families to get their children inoculated against COVID-19 and even gave CPS students a day off from school last month to get the shot. Reached by phone Monday, K-Fish said he was unavailable to answer questions about the email. He's a retired Marine Corps colonel who worked as a commandant at Rickover Naval Academy in Portage Park in the 2019-2020 school year. The email raises more questions about the staff at Marine Leadership Academy, which is at the heart of why I wanted to share this story, which is already under a microscope after a shocking Inspector General report recently found that teachers sexually abused and groomed students for inappropriate relationships over the course of several years, and other school employees, including former principal Aaron Gelfer, failed to report the misconduct. CPS fired at least 10 school employees after the damning report, but not before I think they promoted her. Though CPS has said the investigation into MLA started in 2019, records show CPS leaders and attorneys knew about the sex abuse allegations as early as 2016. CPS also knew about Gelfer's involvement for years, but they kept her on staff and then promoted her to a top position within the district, records show.
What is it with this city and the need to cover everything up all the time?
Because the elites who run the city are untouchable. Don't you know that they live by a different set of rules than the rest of us? It's the rules for thee, not for me. Not that anybody would want to follow these rules abusing kids, but the rules that they need to follow that they don't feel that they're accountable for is actually being accountable, being charged, doing time, being shamed, having their losing their jobs, being pulled away from working around kids. This is the same thing that we saw over in the Park District. The cover-ups there. It's protecting the powerful at the top. They fail upward, they get reassigned. Hey, it also happens in churches, right? When priests are at the center of controversy, they move the priests around. They'll move teachers around. It's astonishing. Nobody is more worried about protecting the students than protecting those that are rubbing elbows with others in the top notch of the hierarchy. So that's all I have to say about that. You, Pegleg?
I think we're done with that story.
I think we're done with that story.
So it gets way more serious than I usually get.
Well, that's
just because I'm a figment of most people's imagination, and I like to have fun when I talk about things. But sometimes you got to get serious and talk about stuff like dibs chairs.
Yeah.
And I gotta do what I gotta do.
So speaking of people being held accountable, have you been following this story, Pegleg? So that the French thespian actor Jussie Smollett, I think that was a Dave Chappelle joke, Jussie Smollett, the very, very fine and refined, oh no, he's not a fine and refined French actor, Jussie Smollett, is back in the news. Remember this from a few years back?
Oh, I think they finally got him. Is it like his trial finally started?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. I followed this when it happened before I was with Chicago Core, and I was just always laughing about, how completely obvious it was that this guy just manufactured this whole situation for publicity.
Well, I don't know if it was entirely publicity. I think I cannot confirm. This is totally rumor, but I think there were some politicians in Washington trying to pass some anti-lynching legislation. I won't say who they are, but it was suspiciously timed.
Valerie Jarrett. I'll say who it was. Wasn't it?
I won't say who, but I will say it's suspiciously timed with the action of some politicians in Washington trying to pass some legislation.
I do know Valerie Jarrett had made a phone call to Kim Fox to try to put the kibosh on going after Jussie Smollett for wasting our CPD's resources. And of course, CPD.
Like I said, I will not give away the name of anyone who might be a zero delegate vice president right now, but I'm not going to say that.
Oh, it was her. That's right. I do recall her being associated with it. Kamala
and
the
some
Cobra.
other guy whose name adores books.
Kamala the Cobra.
There were some co-sponsors to that bill, but like I said, I cannot confirm or deny any of this.
Well, I'm sure
So
it's a matter. I'm sure it's easily searchable on Google for those that want to know who was co-sponsoring that bill. But let me get into the article now. So while Chicago police officers are calling the reported hate crime against Jussie Smollett a hoax, his family maintains he is innocent. This is from Jeff Arnold of the Patch staff. As testimony in the trial, this is the trial of the century, Peg Leg. As testimony in the trial of Jussie Smollett begins, his family is standing firmly behind the former Empire actor who was accused of staging a hate crime in 2019, saying, "It has been difficult to watch Smollett stand accused of something his loved ones say he didn't do." Before the trial resumed on Tuesday at the Leeton Criminal Courthouse, Smollett's brother Jojo read from a statement saying that claims that Smollett perpetrated a bogus hate crime and then lied about it to police have taken a toll on those closest to the actor. Well, poor them. How much manpower was pulled away from the overfunded Chicago Police Department anyway in investigating actual crimes as opposed to phony hate crimes that an actor decided to stage to help the passing of a bill that
Allegedly
that Peg Leg just filled in the details on. It's been incredibly painful as his family to watch someone you love be accused of something they did not do, Jojo Smollett told reporters on Tuesday while reading from the letter in the lobby of the courthouse.
You know, here is the dumb part, Jerry, is that there's enough really terrible people out there doing actual hate crimes with lynching type things, including
Seriously.
I think very recently there was a verdict that went down against some I would not call them gentlemen, but who perpetrated one of those things. So it's not like you got to go looking or manufacturing one of those things. There are some awful people in this world.
But for Jussie Smollett and his associations with some of those sponsors of that bill, it's all about attention. And it's also about narcissism and ego. The case you were relating to, that was the 3 cops, yeah? That were finally...
No, there was this one, I wanted to say Alabama, but I don't know for sure, where these guys chased this guy down who was jogging. And I don't know the details of the case, but I know that those guys, they ended up getting convicted for their lynching.
Your point is well taken. In the age of everybody running around with a cell phone, there's plenty of horrible crimes that are actually really documented to help the passage of anti-lynching bills, which I'm not going to dismiss are not important. But the fact that Smollett decided he needed to make it about him is what's really troubling here, and how resources were dispatched and wasted because this knucklehead thought he needed to do this.
Or somebody put him up to it, in which case, he was just not too bright.
Do you think, would he be, I don't know that I can imagine someone putting him up to it. I think he just decided he wanted to be part of the conversation and add to the whole, by planning this to just throw something out there and also be the centerpiece, because I think he was done with that show. I don't know if he was done with that show or if he was about to be done with the show, but there's also a lot of speculation that some of the motive may have been also just to keep himself in the news, and also by staging something like this, not only would he keep his name in the news, but maybe in some misdirected way, he thought that he was going to be helping the passage of that bill, as they were alleging during these proceedings.
Yeah, I am not one to speculate, Jerry.
Well, they didn't allege it during the proceedings. It's what's public speculation has been. All right, so the Unified
Show.
Show...
When I speculate, that is.
Yeah. The Unified Show of Public Support came before prosecutors called what is among the first of many Chicago Police Department officers who were involved in the handling of the claims Jussie Smollett made when he reported the alleged hate crime to the police. Prosecutors first called Detective Michael Thies, who characterized Smollett's claims as a hoax and fought back against defense attorneys' claims that the Chicago Police Department rushed to judgment in the case. Hey, here's one situation where I don't think they rushed to judgment, but it's because he was a celebrity. So, of course, they had to handle things properly this time around, because all eyes were on this guy because he's a famous actor. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that the Chicago Police Department dispatched between 24 and 26 to investigate the claims made by Smollett. Smollett claims he was attacked near his Streeterville apartment in a case that thieves said it invested more than 3,000 man-hours to during the winter following the supposed attack. He told jurors that officers determined that the attack was a staged event and then asked who orchestrated the entire thing. Mr. Jesse Smollett, thieves said, according to the Chicago Tribune. Now, remember, there were those two brothers that came forward also and said that he paid them or he put them up to it. So, look, the writing's on the wall. It's clear. This guy's a liar. Not only was he wasting police resources at the time, now he's wasting important court time with them having to prosecute this knucklehead so other people don't do the same thing.
And of course, they took their sweet time in getting around to actually doing this court case because they wanted to take the heat off, allegedly, from some people who may or may not have put him up to this.
Well, in his testimony, thieves walked jurors through the investigation into the alleged attack. Smollett, who faces 6 counts of filing a false report to police, told officers that he was attacked by 2 men who poured a chemical substance on him while yelling, "This is MAGA country," in support of former President Donald Trump. Is Streeterville MAGA country, Pegleg?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think if anybody ran around Streeterville wearing MAGA hats, they'd get their own asses kicked. I don't think that anybody would have run around Streeterville proclaiming to be supportive of President Donald Trump in a largely Democratic city. Prosecutors say the 2 brothers were paid $3,500 by the actor to carry out the attack, of which there's no video, police said, but based on the description given by Smollett, police said they had the correct suspects. And I think that they also confessed to being participants as well.
Oh, I think part of Streeterville is Viagra country, but that's another conversation, Jerry.
That's true. All right. So anyway, look, enough of this knucklehead. We got other stories to go into. I just thought I would bring everybody up to date because I just find the whole thing very, very amusing that this guy and his family are suddenly the victims here after he perpetrated a hoax and wasted police resources because he's a celebrity and figured he could get away with it, allegedly. All right, I'm going into our next story. So as we're kind of winding down to the tail end of the show here, this is kind of unfortunate, but I thought it was worth reporting on. Let me bring this story up. This comes from Patch. For all of us who would like to imagine we can step in and be heroes, not always the best idea. This came from Patch, Lorraine Swanson. A hero shot while intervening with an irate customer at a gas station. Oh boy, a GoFundMe campaign has been set up for Mount Greenwood man shot trying to protect a woman from an irate customer at an Alsip gas station. All right, Alsip's kind of Chicagoland area. It's kind of within our map, so I thought I would report on this. Alsip, Illinois. 22-year-old Mount Greenwood man is recovering from gunshot wounds he suffered November 21st while trying to intervene with an angry customer at an Alsip gas station, according to police.
What was he angry about?
Oh, here we go. Although Michael Haynes' wounds have been described by police as non-life-threatening, he faces a long and arduous recovery. Here's what the customer was irate about. Around 5:55 p.m., Haynes stopped by a Shell gas station at 117th Street and Pulaski Road to get something to drink. As he was standing in line, a customer ahead of him was screaming and berating a store employee, according to Alsip police. So probably over nothing. You've just got one of these knucklehead Karens, or if this was a guy, what's the male version of a Karen? A Ken?
I think it's a Ken.
It's a Ken, yeah. So you got a Ken screaming and berating a store employee. The customer turned his attention elsewhere and became confrontational with other customers, police said. Haynes interrupted the man when he began arguing with
a Mitch.
Yeah. Haynes interrupted the man when he began arguing with a female customer. Police said the man pushed Haynes and went outside, where police believe he went to retrieve a gun from his vehicle. So, quite naturally, when you get into it with someone, you go to your vehicle to go retrieve a gun and escalate instead of just like...
Wait, hold on a second. So another customer who was being a Mitch was not the customer who had the gun?
No.
So somebody was a jerk to a gas station attendant. The other guy over...
No, wait a minute. Now you're confusing me. Let me reread the paragraph. The customer turned his
sorry,
attention.
Bessie's distracting me over here.
Okay. So Customer was screaming and berating a store employee. That customer turned his attention elsewhere and became confrontational with other customers. I'm sure the other customers were saying, "Hey, dude, why don't you dial it down?" Haynes, who's the man who was shot, interrupted the man when he began arguing. When the man began arguing with a female customer, police said the man pushed Haynes and went outside, where police believe he went to retrieve a gun of his vehicle. So no, it was the guy who was screaming and berating people that decided he pushed Haynes. Then he went out to his vehicle to retrieve a gun.
Oh, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah. Let me finish the article. Haynes was standing in the doorway of the store when the man returned with a gun. Witnesses told police the man started shooting Haynes in his legs and feet, making statements such as, "This will teach you to mind your own business." The man then got into a newer model silver or gray Ford Bronco and fled south on Pulaski. Now, I wonder if this guy was wearing a red MAGA hat, but I digress. Haynes' mother, Cheryl West, is organizing a GoFundMe campaign to help cover her son's medical costs and lost wages as he undergoes many long months of physical therapy and ongoing visits to orthopedic and vascular doctors. This is the new normal, Peg Leg, people having to do GoFundMe campaigns to cover their medical bills.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was amused by something I saw in the chat there. We have a point of correction. It was not the female version of a Karen is not a Ken or a Mitch, but it is a Chad.
A Chad. I wonder where that came.
Although I would give Mitch a second running for that title if it were me picking the name.
Whatever, man, makes a good point. Testosterone City. I raised Michael to be righteous and stand up for others, to say something when someone is being hurt or being wronged, his mother wrote on GoFundMe. This is what he did that evening. It is by the grace and mercy of God and an army of angels that my only child is alive today. West says her family has no idea what her son's medical costs will be. This is fucking crazy. This is just ridiculous. I think
it's time for the public service
announcement. No. I'm not finished.
No, not that announcement. I'm talking about one related to this story.
Okay, well, I just shared the GoFundMe link in the chat.
No, I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, prices are crazy. Gas prices are crazier. Everybody is freaking out about everything. Try to chill. Be a little kinder to everybody. And by all means, please do not bring it to fisticuffs. It's not worth it.
Be cool. Well,
be cool.
Apparently now it's not worth it for people to stand up for others either, when you've got assholes deciding to go to their Broncos and pull out guns and start shooting people and saying, what was this guy's quote? "This will teach you to mind your own business."
Leave the heater in the Bronco. Leave it there. It's not worth it.
Haynes is a 2018 graduate of Oak Forest High School, remains hospitalized. The Help Michael Rise Up as a Survivor and Hero online campaign has raised almost half of its $20,000 goal as of Sunday evening. "My son has always been my hero, and I did my best to raise him, making many mistakes along the way, but he's a good, kind, strong, brave, righteous, and decent man despite my mistakes." This woman's really taking a lot of this upon herself. I think he did the right thing. Unfortunately, we don't imagine that people who are screaming at other people in stores are going to go out to their cars and get guns and start shooting people. "A young woman is safe because of him," West said. "Police believe the shooting is an isolated incident. Anyone with information about the incident is asked to call the Alsop Police Department at 708-385-6902, extension 272. The link is in the show notes to this story, and we did share.
So they're saying this jerk is still on the run then?
Yep.
Well,
yep. The asshole who's packing heat is still on the run. We shared the GoFundMe in the live chat. I will also link it in the show description after the show's over with. I guess here's another opportunity. If you guys can give a little bit, please do. It looks like they've raised $14,714, raised of a $20,000 goal. So that's good news. At least people are taking this seriously and donating to help this poor kid who decided to stand up and try to protect others in that gas station.
Yeah, medical bills are no joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you've said it. I just got phone calls today from my practitioners about my copay for my shoulder surgery next Monday. And yeah, that's truth. All right, so our final story, although that was kind of my feel-good story, it's kind of a half feel-good story. The guy stood up to protect others. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but luckily people are coming and helping raise money for his medical costs. Here's my final story of the night that I thought was important to share. Pull it up here. So, Blog Club Chicago, who we regularly source for news, has launched a neighborhood investigative fund. Now, we've said many times, unfortunately, here at Chicago Quarter and at Hardlands Media, we don't have the budget for our own investigators or to hire reporters to go out and dig through stories. That's why we rely on Block Club Chicago, the Sun-Times, the Chicago Tribune, Patch, to source our stories to share with all of you, because they've got reporters out there doing that work. So I thought it was very, very important to share that Block Club Chicago is launching a neighborhood investigative fund, and the link is down in the show description. Every dollar donated will help our reporters investigate wrongdoing, shine a light on solutions, hold our elected officials accountable, and help neighborhoods where they need it most. Now, this came, of course, today on Giving Tuesday. And this is reported by Maple Walker. As the director of development at Block Club Chicago, there's a question I'm asked a lot. How does hyperlocal news help people? Well, that's an easy question to answer. There are so many ways we help at Block Club. Helping our neighbors means seeing potential wrongdoing and investigating to expose it, like Kelly Bauer did in her coverage of the Loretto Hospital vaccine scandal. Those stories led to an FBI investigation. It means launching a free coronavirus hotline in English and Spanish, which has helped nearly 1,000 callers in the year it's been live. It means listening to and elevating all voices, something Pascal Sabino did when he listened to a 4-year-old Jet Hawkins mom on the West Side taking her quest to ban hair discrimination all the way to the governor's desk, where her message became a law. It means launching an extensive hyperlocal gift guide, urging Chicagoans to support struggling local businesses during a critical time. It means treating neighborhood issues with care and nuance, as you'll see in Maxwell Evans's report today on efforts to combat violence near the University of Chicago. Today is Giving Tuesday, and we know a lot of folks are asking for your help. If you're able, I'm asking you to donate to support the food banks, shelters, and other mutual aid efforts that help our neighbors most, as we have down in the description, and there are links there. If you don't know where to start, Block Club has a list of local efforts here, linked in this article. If you have any money left over, we'd be grateful for your support. We've set an ambitious goal of raising $20,000 for our new Block Club Chicago Investigative Fund, because there are so many important stories that impact our neighborhoods going uncovered. The first $10,000 in donations will be matched thanks to the generous support of the Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation, Thomas Rudbeck, and others. And here's our pledge to you. Every dollar donated today will help Block Club reporters investigate wrongdoing, shine a light on solutions, hold our elected officials accountable, and help you when you need it most. You can donate here, and I am going to share this link in the chat as well. We can't do our show without entities like Block Club Chicago.
At least it makes it a whole lot harder, right, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, we go to the Sun-Times and the Tribune, but, you know, I even question some of the veracity of their reporting, especially the Sun-Times these days. So here's the link in the live chat. Please support Block Club Chicago. It's obviously a great independent news source here in the city. We rely on it a lot. They've got great reporters there covering not only elected officials' accountability, but they also discover a lot of the stories that inspire us. I found a couple of stories like with Melissa Hernandez, who I brought on the show. There are a couple of other stories of inspiration I found on the website to show all of you that we don't have to just talk about and bellyache about the bad news. We can go out and do something about it if we're so inclined. So thanks to Block Club Chicago and Maple Walker Lloyd at Block Club says, thank you for proving everyday Chicagoans will support local news that serves them first. So that concludes our show, although I do want to remind people that we're also trying to raise money for the night ministry. Go over to 99 Perspectives Chicago Corner page, click through that link. It'll take you to our fundraising page for the night ministry. We're trying to raise money for them, and you'll get a free movie or soundtrack CD or poster from your donation. All proceeds will go to the night ministry. And there's a segment that I also clipped that's on our Chicago Corner channel that you can view to find out more about what you get donating to the night ministry through the special campaign that I put together. And finally, Pegleg, anything that you want to share with our viewers as we come to the end of the show? I know.
Being that it is Giving Tuesday, Jerry, it would be my honor to present flavor improving mugs.
I knew it.
The mugs that improve flavor. And you can take this Giving Tuesday to order a set of mugs for someone you love and give it to them. Flavor improving mugs, the mugs that improve flavor. Now available in the merch shop, and at least, I believe, for another 4 hours or so, you may be able to save a little scratch. Scratch is money. You can save it with code CYBER5. That's cyber and the number 5.
I hope some people will take advantage of all the fine merch that our friend Ed Heller has created for Chicago Corner, as well as Hardlands Media. All proceeds go to supporting the shows, supporting all the fine work being done behind the scenes, since, once again, YouTube is not monetizing this channel, everybody. And we love doing it, but it could certainly be a little bit helpful if you guys are so inclined to pick up some merch. Proceeds go to our operating costs to help support the program. So there we go. Anything else from you, Pegleg, before we call it a night?
Oh, I just would like to say that it was wonderful to be here with you today, Jerry, and I look forward to seeing what is coming up on Friday's program.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to be coming up on Friday's program, but you're not going to see my face for a few weeks after that, because I go under the knife Monday for my shoulder, and I'm not going to be in any shape to come on next Tuesday or Friday. But we will have substitute hosts, and hopefully I'll be back the following week. If not, our substitute hosts will fill in until I can return before the Christmas holidays. And we'll see what transpires this week that we'll be covering on Friday night's show. So just give you all a heads up what's coming up in the future.
I am playing around with the video settings, so
I can tell
see that wonderful background that's going on behind you there of the cityscape. I think that thing's fantastic. I think there is a similar image on the website for the Chicago Corner.
That's the view from the Hardlands Media 99 Perspective Studio. Great view from that rooftop. Hey, whatever, man. Thank you. I've been through 2 of these before. This is my 3rd shoulder surgery, so I know what to expect. It's not a big deal. It's the recovery time that's going to be the biggest pain in the ass, because it takes me away from all you lovely people and coming on the air while I'm on painkillers and in physical therapy. But I'll be back soon. It's not a big deal. It's just more of a hassle to have to take downtime than anything else. All right, everybody. So that's our report for this evening. Thank you all for joining Pegleg and I. Please have a safe rest of the week. We'll see you again on Friday. Check out our show links in our show description below for all those charitable foundations you can donate to. And I'll also add the link to Block Club Chicago if you got any extra money to help them with their investigations. Take care of each other. Be vigilant. Watch out. Be safe. Have a good week. And remember, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Good night, everybody.
Stay classy, San Diego.